Hello and good evening, Chicago. Welcome back in to Chi-Town Weekly here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. A lot of times on this show, we spray to a lot of different fields. We talk a lot of different topics all in one episode. Not going to be the case tonight. We are going to be very singularly focused on the Chicago Bulls. The draft is coming up later this week in the NBA. Are the Bulls going to be doing anything in it? The Denver Nuggets won the NBA title. Do the Bulls look anything like a playoff team? And is trading Zach Lavine going to do anything to make that happen sooner rather than later? A lot to go over tonight with the Bulls. Going to have lots of help going through all this too. We got 3 guests lined up for everybody tonight. A voice that you might know, a couple of voices that are going to be new to the show, but who knows? Maybe we'll be hearing more from them soon. Lots to go through tonight. Buckling on up. This is Chi-Town Weekly. Let's go. Once again, hello and good evening, everyone. You have found yourself into Chi-Town Weekly here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Bulls. That is the topic of the episode tonight. The Bulls are a bit of a mess, but not to worry. We are going to fix them. And we're going to do it in an hour, hopefully even less. Why do I keep saying we? Well, we got some help coming into the show tonight. Some voices that you know, and maybe some voices that are new to you. You'll be meeting our guests here in just a moment. But without any further ado, of course, we do have to take care of our homework here on Chi-Town Weekly. We have to thank our supporters as we do each and every week. IE Sports Radio, of course, is available for you on all of the major social platforms. We are available to you TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, all the major platforms. Just search at IE Sports Radio. That'll get you there. And, of course, IE Sports Radio has been around now for the last 9 years, bringing you amazing content from interviewing legendary athletes to building tailor-made shows dedicated to all major sports cities around the country. All the while, we continue to be by the fans, for the fans, and with your help, we are ready to take the next step. When you go to that website, iesportsradio.com, you'll see our Patreon link with 5 different tiers. The first one starts at just $5 a month. This donation gets you a shout out on every single one of our shows. Higher tiers include IE Sports Radio merchandise, access to our podcasting university, and even a chance to be featured on a segment of our flagship show, The Defining Moment. Thank you all very much for continuing to make IE Sports Radio your direct feed for all that is sports. And want to thank our Patreon supporters now, Bay Area Raised, MLO's Great, Key to the Gate, and Anonymous. And this show is available for you as well on Twitter. Follow along at IESRC. Or if you want to follow along with me personally on Twitter, I am at Adam_Karnick. And if you are listening live here tonight on Spreaker here on this Monday night, hop on into the chat room. You'll find Larry B is already there. Good evening, Larry. If you want to hop on in, we can interact, have some fun with the show that way. If you just want to sit back, or if you're listening to the show later on in a podcast, whether it's iHeartRadio, YouTube, Spreaker, any of the other Apple Podcasts, any of the other ways that you can get our content, or if you just want to sit back and listen, thank you for being here. We really do appreciate you fitting us into your sports week. All right, I kept saying we. Who's this we? Well, we've got several guests lined up for you tonight, some that you know and some that are going to be new to us. First up, a voice that you probably know, Davidson Crooks, half of Fast Break here on IE Sports Radio. He's been on the show once or twice before, helping us break down Bulls. You know that when we're talking NBA, we always like to have Davidson on. Davidson, how are you doing tonight, sir?
Doing pretty well tonight. Ready to talk about some Bulls basketball. We kind of touched on it a little bit on last night's show, but we're going to do deep dive for y'all guys tonight.
All right, I appreciate that. And then a couple of new voices. You can find them on YouTube. The podcast is Shy Bulls Podcast. They are the Cognac Boys. We have Bobby and Cdubb. Bobby, we'll start with you. How you doing tonight, sir?
Doing great. Ready to come on here, talk about my lovely Chicago Bulls, even though they stress us out. But, hey, we still love our team, and we're going to rock with them. Let's talk.
There we go. Yeah, they stress us out because we love them. If we didn't care, we wouldn't get stressed at all by anything they do.
Absolutely.
And then the other half of the Cognac Boys is Cdubb. How are you doing tonight, sir?
Oh, I'm doing good. Glad to be on the channel, Adam. They call me Unc. All my, you know what I'm saying? All my channel watchers, they call me Unc. Wherever you see us or hear us on social media, they call me Unc.
All right. Well, Unc, thank you for being here. Thank you all three of you guys tonight for being here. Now, it's funny. I reached out to you guys, I don't know, I think it was roughly a week ago because I knew this was a show I wanted to do. But then since everybody said, oh, yeah, we'll come in and we'll talk, apparently Zach Lavine has found himself on the trade block. Yahoo Sports reporting last week that the Bulls are quietly shopping him in advance of the draft this coming Thursday night. Now, to me, I'm not sure what's stranger, that he's on the block or that reportedly this isn't the Bulls trying to sell. This is the Bulls trying to buy and retool on the fly and try to make this team better. So let's start there. First of all, how ridiculous would it be for the Bulls to even be able to move him? He's only 1 year removed from signing a max contract. And then secondly, how on earth can this actually improve the team? Davidson, let's start with you there. We may have lost Davidson for a moment. Bobby, let's go over to you with that. When we're looking at this Bulls team, how does trading Zach Lavine make this Bulls team better?
I mean, it all depends on what the Chicago Bulls are trying to do, if you ask me, because it's not many Zach Lavines walking through that door. And I know the first part of the question, you said, how ridiculous is it? Is pretty much ridiculous. Because if we're looking at the market right now, we just seen Bradley Beal get traded pretty much for nothing. And that doesn't push a lot of positivity in my mind when it comes to trading stars right now, especially with Zach Lavine. And then me, honestly, I would rather keep Zach Lavine and honestly look at trading other players, maybe like a DeMar DeRozan.
Yeah. Unc, I'll throw that over to you from there. What might the Bulls be able to get? Let's say that they trade Lavine. What do you get for him at this point? He's 1 year into a max deal that maybe he's lived up to it so far. What kind of a market could there even be for him?
Oh, for a guy in Zach Lavine, I hate that I got to talk about that. I think this is the most ridiculous thing in the world to try to chase Zach Lavine. But when you're trying to trade a guy in Zach Lavine, I think one of the top, in my opinion, 20 players in this NBA, you better be getting something comparable back. And you're going to need something for the future back. And you're going to need a limousine. You're going to need a mansion and some old stuff. You know what I'm talking about? Zach Lavine is worth that, bro. Like, it's crazy. Look at Bradley Beal, what the Washington Wizards got for Bradley Beal. I know you want to get rid of him the worst way, but that's just crazy, dude. Get something, my guy. Get something. Not now, laters. Come on, man.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Davidson, I know that as soon as the Bulls signed Zach to the max deal last year, you were, I don't know about that. I don't know if this was a smart move on the Bulls' part. But now a year later, is this common to see a guy a year after he signs a max deal get moved? I mean, this to me, it feels very knee-jerk reaction, like they're just grasping at straws here at this point.
I think I see it like this. I wasn't a big fan of him getting the extension because I think, he's not that super max type of guy. This is my honest opinion. But, you traded him, for Jimmy Butler. That was a couple years back. You feel like you got obligated to keep him there. And, at one point, when everybody was healthy, along with DeMar and all that stuff, the Bulls looking great. But then after a while, whatever trades he got, instead of being like a high-level scorer. And I think that's just my main concern. He can score, but can he defend? Can he do the little things to kind of, turn the team around, make the team better? And I don't see that for him.
May I be able to add on to that, Adam?
Yeah, go, please.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's a fair point. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people question Zach Lavine and whatnot. But I also, Davidson, I don't know if you ever, looked at some of our content or whatnot. But a lot of the times, some of our fans, they threw that stuff out there too. And my rebuttal was always, Tobias Harris got a max contract.
True.
Zion Williamson got a max contract without proving anything. And even if we're looking at some of the prize players right now in the NBA, the one that just got traded in Bradley Beal, correct me if I'm wrong, but and it's not directly to you, it's just a generalized statement. The man, he only played, I think he missed 90 games in the last 2 seasons or something like that. So I think, a lot of us, at least Bulls fans from our experience on our platform, we want everything so fast. And I think that the Bulls fans, we need to have some patience at some point. Because then, I don't want to be long-winded. Because then we'll be, oh, my God, look what we get. We gave up Larry Marketing. Oh, my God, we gave up Jimmy Butler. You know what I'm saying? So I think that right now we need to have some patience and at least try to let this thing play out.
And, trust me, I wasn't a big fan of giving Zion a big contract either.
Yep.
I mean, guy who ain't been play a lot for you and you giving big max deal for whatever reason.
Right.
Just to keep him, I was not a big fan of that. And now look at where New Orleans is at now.
100%.
They think about training the guy, and then he's like his obligations are elsewhere besides trying to get on the court, as we've seen the past
2 weeks.
Couple weeks here.
Yep.
So it makes you wonder where's his focus at, since he joined the NBA. Is he worried about other stuff, or are he trying to be one of the best players in his generation?
That's fair.
Tobias Harris. Oh, sorry.
That's all right. And I was just going to quick say, and some of it too with the max deals, some of that is kind of just the price of doing poker a little bit, that it's it's literally, we don't want to lose this guy for nothing. And, he's a good player. He wants the max deal. That's kind of what we got to give him.
And can I add this? Like, Zach Lavine has played hurt with the Chicago Bulls for mostly all of last season. And for half of the season, this one that just passed. He averaged 30 points per game, 5 assists, and 5 rebounds after the All-Star break when he was completely healthy with a pretty decent, I wouldn't call him good or great point guard in Patrick Beverley, but he knew where the ball went and knew how to make a team flow. I just think that we're looking the wrong direction. Why are we not looking to trade DeMar DeRozan, who has 1 year left on his contract, and I will bet $1 million that he will not come back and re-sign with the Chicago Bulls. So you might as well trade him and get what you can get instead of try to trade Zach Lavine. It's crazy to me. It's nuts.
Yeah, that was something to me too that was so odd. I mean, you hear Lavine is quietly being shopped, and the first thing that came to my mind is, they're recognizing that they've got to rebuild, that they've got to tear down and start over. And that's why, to me, then when I heard the reporter go out there and say, well, no, they're not actually looking to rebuild. They're trying to retool, and they're trying to make the next stop. It's like, well, then why are you looking to trade Lavine? Lavine, one of the problems this team has is they don't shoot the three. They don't shoot the three, and B, they don't make the three. Zach's one of the few guys that does both of those. Why are you moving him? Davidson, I know you keep a little bit broader of an eye on the NBA. Mm-hmm. Is there a market for anybody? Would there be a market for a DeMar DeRozan? Would there be a market for a sign and trade kind of a deal with Vucevic at this point? Are they looking, in other words, are Karnisovitz and Eversley looking to move Zach simply because he's the guy that could give them the most back?
It's tough to say. Like Unc said, DeMar got 1 year left on his deal. And I think, he'd be the more easy one to move to a veteran team that, just needs somebody as like a third option. DeMar's like, what, 33 or so like that?
Like 33, 34.
Yeah.
So, so he's like that last push of his career. And if you get, like, at least going to get a year out of it, we talk about Portland. They're kind of in the same boat. Should they rebuild, whatnot? They're not going to trade Dame or whatever they're going to do. Can you push DeMar out to a Portland and get one of their later first round picks and, get the process starting going that way? Oh,
my bad. I'm sorry, Davidson.
Go ahead.
I was just going to add on to that Portland point. Now, if there was somebody we would entertain, it would be the Portland Trailblazers in my mind. But the Bulls will have to pick a direction, just like you alluded to. The Chicago Bulls, if I'm looking to trade Zach Lavine for Portland, I'm looking at Anthony Simons. That's going to start my conversation. And then I got to see about Shaedon Sharpe. And what about them picks?
Third pick.
What you think about that, Davidson?
Oh, yeah. If you get that third pick and, get either Scoot Henderson or Brandon Miller, I think that would start the process of laying the foundations, resetting things, and, move your franchise forward.
That's fair.
And if Portland don't want to move Dame, Dame seeing he content there and wanted to stay there, fine, that's his prerogative. So if you're like Chicago or some of these other teams that, kind of like on that fence, like, we're not good enough to be a contender, but we're not good enough that we don't suck enough to get like a top 4 pick or 3 pick.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, I got Zach Lavine here. Guy can score, give you 25 a night. Give it Simons, that third overall pick, maybe somewhere in the second round and future first round pick. We can start talking. And then DeRozan, you probably like sell off, somewhere else, to get more assets. And then after that, you damn near got a clean slate besides Lonzo's contract.
That's
what's hurting us. That's what's hurting us.
Everything with Lonzo is what's hurting the Bulls and what's hurting Lonzo. That knee. Unc, you brought it up in a show that you guys did over the weekend. You wind this clock back not even 18 months. This team's the number 1 team in the East. They might not have held that position throughout the rest of that season, but if Lonzo doesn't go down, this is a serious, legit playoff team. He goes down, and apparently he was the thing that kept the whole thing going. Is it just as simple as Unc, in your opinion, is it just as simple as get a 3-and-D guard and presto, the Bulls are fixed? Can it really be that simple?
You know what? It might be, and I'm gonna chase that what you just said right there. It might be that simple, cause it be that simple that you lose one player in Lonzo Ball and your team and your record just free fall to the bottom. The Bulls looked terrible after Lonzo Ball was injured. It was out of the lineup. So I think look at the team when they got Patrick Beverley with that just one addition. They kind of rose, and they was one of the best teams at the end of the season. I do think this is number one on the Chicago Bulls list is to get them a very high IQ oriented point guard and preferably a good 3-point shooter. And they can get back to the glory days. That's what they banking on. But sometimes it could be as simple as that. It might be one piece that can move you over the top. Not even over the top, but it could put you in the right direction.
Yeah, at least make you feel respectable again that, all right, this isn't a play-in team that's got to scrap and claw and not be embarrassing, you know. Yes,
absolutely, 100%. Because, man, when the Bulls is high, they high. But when they lose it, it's embarrassing. It's frustrating, embarrassing. We just need some IQ on this team, and I think it's on the point guard position. Even if you don't move anybody else, Vooch, DeMar, Zach, stay. Get us one good point guard in here, and we'll be a better team.
But that, of course, then leads to the other problem. The draft is Thursday night. As we sit here right now on Monday night, the Bulls have 0 picks. You know, they can dream all they want about who would be there. They're not getting anything. They have no money against the cap. You know, they are strapped unless they want to go into the luxury tax, and Reinsdorf, we know that's not happening. we'll get Bobby. I hear you. I said the name and I knew it was coming. We'll get to that. We'll get to that part. But for right now, he's still the owner, and you know how he's gonna own the team. You know that he's gonna look at that luxury tax as a hard and fast cap. Here's a line that I will not cross for any reason for any man, save maybe the reincarnation of Michael Jordan. And even then, I think he'd give it pause.
Yes, he would.
He'd be like, I did that once. I'm not doing. Been there, done that.
Right.
So with that in mind, then, who can you go get? What can you do, Bobby, other than just hope that Io becomes that guy, which I think I like Io, but I don't know that he's going to miraculously turn into the difference making 3-and-D guy for you. So what do you do?
The Bulls got to come to a decision on what, again, they have to pick a direction, but we already kind of heard it at the season ending press conferences that they want to retool. So now you have to look at your roster and say, who's my best prized possessions? One is Alex Caruso. The other one is Patrick Williams. And I don't see these guys wanting to move off of them because, you know, there are reports. We don't know how, you know, valid those reports were around the trade deadline because we know rumors be swirling. But we do know, at least we expected that some teams will be trying to call and ask about Alex Caruso, and the Bulls, you know, refused. So at this particular moment, it's tough. So, I mean, I think another asset that you might have is say, hey, Kobe White, but I don't know what he would field. I mean, you could probably get yourself back in the draft that way, but with the step forward that he took this past season with his overall game, is that something you willing to risk for a later round draft who might not pan out anyway? That's a tough decision for a front office.
Yeah. All right, Davidson, I'll kick this back around to you, and then we're going to take a quick break here. Then we'll come back with some more Bulls discussion. Davidson, what do you see as a immediate solution for the Bulls when you have no draft picks and you're up against the cap? How can the Bulls find somebody to help them out right here and now?
I mean, what y'all kind of allude to, I mean, they don't want to get rid of Al Caruso, but you may have to. And I think, I always say on the show about the Miami Heat and what a great job they have done the past few years, as we've seen. Find those undrafted guys that, Davidson, Duncan Robinson, Max Strus, Highsmith, those guys, those grinders, and Alex Caruso, undrafted guy, coming into the league. So, Alex Caruso has developed a nice value for himself that, you can at least get at least a couple of second rounders for somebody, a contender somewhere, going State, they losing DiVincenzo. Can they, get a couple second rounds for him and they slide him in for that part? Or somewhere like another team that's kind of like needs some extra pieces to kind of contend. The Sixers, they kind of need some guard depth after, the guys they got really didn't pan out. So I think Caruso, Williams, maybe your best guys to sell to get at least the second round. There could be some real potential gems in that second round, if you play your cards right. But, other than that, if you trade Lavine, you got to get the farm from him and all that stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, it certainly feels like that if you're going to trade Lavine, you better be getting some good stock back. A lot of great things there, guys. We're going to take a quick break, and then I want to dive a little bit more into some of that. You guys, we all brought up Patrick Williams at one point. We got to talk about him. Is it possible that he can take the next step? What needs to happen for him to take the next step? So I want to talk some more about him. Plus, Davidson just there brought up the undrafted route. Might there be some guys that will slip through the cracks of this draft that could be able to help the Bulls? We are talking Chicago Bulls here on Chi-Town Weekly. We got Davidson Crooks. We got Bobby and Unk from Chi Bulls podcast breaking it all down. We are going to take a quick break and pick this back up. You are listening to Chi-Town Weekly here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Are you a fan of Buffalo sports? Are you thinking of changing loyalties and becoming a Buffalo sports fan? Do you even know where Buffalo is on the map? Did you know Canada is closer to Buffalo than New York City? Welcome to the Buffalo Huddle, every Tuesday night at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time and 4 p.m. Pacific Coast Time on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. I'm your host, Patty Bax. This is a podcast designed for you, the passionate sports fan. I know you love your sports. Who doesn't? I cover Buffalo sports and so much more by bringing in the human elements. I call it Buffalo sports with a twist. Join me as we take a journey into the world of Buffalo sports. I guarantee you'll fall in love with Buffalo just like I did. Each week we start with an inspiration, question of the day, a Buffalo fun fact, and our weekly challenge to you, the listener. Come huddle up with me. Every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time and 4 p.m. Pacific Coast Time for the Buffalo Huddle with Patty Bax on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. As we say in Buffalo, go Bills!
What up, Boston sports fans? This is Mikey Two Guns here, your host of Our Bleepin' City, airing every Wednesday night from 7 to 8 p.m. right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Please join me. We'll talk everything Boston sports, all the local teams, college teams. I'm even down to talk MMA, boxing, whatever you guys want. So join me every Wednesday night, 7 to 8 p.m. Chime in with your questions on the chat, tweet the show. We'll even have call-ins. I can't wait to hear from you guys. This is going to be a lot of fun. So once again, it's Our Bleepin' City. I am your host, Mikey Two Guns, every Wednesday night from 7 to 8 p.m. right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. See you soon, people.
Well, what is up, Carolina Nation? This is John Felipe of the Carolina Cast, of course, the podcast of, by, and for the Carolinas, right here on IE Sports, your direct feed for all that is sports. And I'm reminding you to tune in Fridays at 7 p.m. Eastern for the latest in Carolina sports, whether it's the Panthers that keep on pounding, the fly natures of the Hornets, the storming Hurricanes, the battle of the Blues with Duke and UNC, the fight of the Clemson Tigers, or the amazing atmosphere of any Carolina college. I'm talking App State, I'm talking ECU. I've got you covered. Once again, tune in for the Carolina Cast with me, John Felipe, Fridays at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
All right. Welcome to AZ Sports Daily. I'm your host, Kiernan Daly, bringing the heat to Arizona sports. There's no discrimination here. We're going to talk about every sports team, professional and college. The show is all about you, the listener. I'm here to entertain you. Are you not entertained? Is this not why you are here? It's going to be fun, high energy. You may not agree with what I say. That's okay. Let me hear you. Let's talk about it. Join me every Wednesday, 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, right here on AZ Sports Daily. That's AZ Sports, Daily, and at IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
And welcome back into Chi-Town Weekly here on IE Sports Radio. Adam Karnick, Davidson Crooks, Bobby and Unk from Chi Bulls podcast are here. Davidson, of course, one half of the Fast Break team here on IE Sports Radio. Hear him every Sunday evening at this time every week. And then Bobby and Unk, you can hear them basically every day on YouTube. One of them's putting something out there, breaking down the Chicago Bulls, trying to fix the Chicago Bulls. And good evening to Mike Pat and to Shane, who hopped into the chat there during the last segment. So we brought up Patrick Williams. As we get into him, of course, he was the first pick of this Acme corporation here for the Bulls. He hasn't developed yet, and the general consensus I know has been it feels like he always wants to concede to Vooch or DeMar or Zach. Do they have to move one of those three guys in order to get Patrick Williams to take the next step, or does he just need to be more assertive and say, look, I need to be more a part of this offense? Which is it there?
Hey, I'll take this one. I've been preaching this for the last couple of years. DeMar DeRozan needs to be traded, and this is one of the reasons why. Patrick Williams, I feel, is a natural 3. He's a natural small forward, and when he hits that potential position, he will flourish. I guarantee it. I think he's playing a little bit out of position right now, trying to play 4. He can't play against Giannis and all these 4s every damn single game and expect him to score 20 points or 15 points a night.
Yeah.
Patrick Williams, him going up to somebody and be like, I demand the ball, that ain't going to happen because that's not in his nature. We call him Pastor Pete, but we use other language. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
But
yeah, we got to be careful with that language.
Future. Yeah, well, the kid got a bright future. And I'm telling you, once you get that guy out of the way, plus the shots, you got Vooch, you got Zach, you got DeMar. It's hard to find shots. So I need DeMar off this team for my guy to go ahead and flourish.
And
I was going to be real.
And Mike Pat in the chat is loving the Patrick Williams conversation. He is a Florida State Seminoles guy, so anytime we bring up Patrick Williams, he's always loving it. Go ahead, Bobby.
Oh, I was gonna say that's a great point by C-Dub. I also agree with him, but I also think that if they're not gonna move him, they're gonna have to find what we talked about earlier, a point guard that can facilitate, because this guy over the past season has increased his 3-point shooting to over 40%.
Yes.
So if you can get a guy that can go in there and facilitate some offense, if you have Billy Donovan call more sets for him to get him an opportunity, that'll be 2 good things that you can do to at least get this guy more opportunities. And then it does come down for him personally with his mentality to actually go ahead and when he has those opportunities to take advantage of them, because there's no reason or no way you should be having your teammates yelling at you during a basketball game, telling you to shoot the ball. Come on, Patrick Williams. You got it in you, but we got to be better.
Now, one name that we didn't bring up at all, we talked about Bradley Beal and everything going on there. One name that didn't come up, and I almost feel a little silly bringing it up, but we gotta. Chris Paul wouldn't make any sense on this team, would he? There's really nothing there that he would bring for these guys, right? Or am I missing something? What do you think, Davidson?
You want to take that, Dave? Yeah, I was going to say take that before I go.
If you're still trying to contend, then you take it. If you could bring him in, that'd be great. But if you're trying to keep everyone out of the fold, then that means you bring your Vooch back. That means DeRozan staying, Zach Lavine staying, and then you bring in Chris Paul. It could work, but I think the money would probably be tight if we're going to be real about that. I think it'd be a good fit. You got a guy, that each team that he's been on, as he's led to good success. So, and especially he showed that a couple years ago with OKC when he went to that squad, really took that team better than what I expected. And if he gets to the Bulls, they could probably do some things. The only thing is that his health and age, that forward time is really, it's kind of common, hitting him hard the past couple years. So in the short term, if you try one more big push with DeRozan, Lavine, Vooch, cool. But if you're not trying to make a big push with those 3 guys to add a Chris Paul, then don't do it.
So short of the fact that he's old, is not really a great fit, and he's really expensive. If we take all that out of the equation, then he works. Other than that, though, those are the only problems.
I would say so. I would say so. Those are the problems. How many games is he going to play in the season? He's going to play 50 games? Is we sure he's going to play 50 games?
Oh man, I think if he plays 50 games, you're thanking your lucky stars.
Yeah. Let me just be clear right here. He's better than Patrick Beverly. You seen what the Bulls did with a Patrick Beverley at the end of the season. But it's just like Christmas comes every year. At the wrong time, he gets hurt. So you could do all that good. I mean, it's a fact. For the last 3 years, he's got hurt at the end of the season at the most inopportune time. The Phoenix Suns were actually playing very well against the Nuggets. Then he got hurt. Then it went down the slope. Mm-hmm. I'm just not willing to take that chance. And the price tag, probably, what are you going to have to pay for this guy? Come on now.
Yeah. I mean, Washington's going to buy him out, so that might alleviate some of it. But, yeah, it's not going to be great. Larry B. in the chat saying that Chris Paul's going to wind up a Laker. It feels like everybody winds up a Laker. So, yeah, probably. Bobby,
Clipper. I'll say Clipper.
I know you had some thoughts there, Bobby.
I was just going to say, I think it's a tough thing to gauge because both arguments make sense. Because you can, on one end, you could say, hey, this guy's old. He's always injured. Is he even going to play 50 games? And if he does lead the Bulls or help the Bulls get into the playoffs, what if we up in a series, he gets hurt, and then, boom, the series goes down the drain? And then on the flip side, you'd be like, man, could he be a great facilitator for all those scorers, Nikola Vucevic, DeMar DeRozan, and Zach Lavine? And then now we like, hey, Patrick Williams, we can run this pick and roll between CP3 and Vooch, and now your three-point shot is going to be wide open. Mm-hmm. But then I'm of the mindset of like, if we're going to do that, I'd rather just give Kobe White a shot. Kobe, his mentee a shot. At the starting point guard, other than that, because again, it's just something that we already lack 3-point shooting. Yes, Chris Paul can hit those 3-point shots, but is it really going to make a difference? I don't know. TBD on that.
Yeah. So, Davidson, you brought up before the break how the Heat have really gone to the undrafted pool to try and find some depth guys. And you look at the Nuggets, and outside of the Joker, there's not as many superstar guys on that team, yet they won a title. The Heat made a fantastic run through the playoffs there. It feels like they were kind of doing versions of what the Bulls were trying to do there. Are there any guys there in the undrafted pool this year that it's like, oh, that could be a help for the Bulls in the here and now? Or is it basically going to be, well, sure, you can find somebody, but it's going to be more like a Dylan Terry, which you've already got, and it's going to be, man, you're going to need a couple, 2-3 years before that's going to be any assistance for you.
I think, we just got to wait and see what happens on Thursday night, because like a lot of, I did a mock draft not too long ago, and it seems like some of these 18, 19-year-olds going to be like in a hurting coming after this draft. I don't know what feedback, they get. Some of these guys are getting. I'm an Alabama fan, if y'all don't know. Mm-hmm. I follow, Alabama basketball, football, all that good stuff. Charles Bediako, for example, big man for Alabama. What his coach Nate Oates said, with their feedback they got back from him, they said, oh, they figured he'd be back, but then now he's staying in the draft. So, could he be drafted? Yeah, but, you're looking at a guy like a 2-way contract, for example. So I think, we'll see how the smoke clears on Thursday, who gets moved and whatnot. I think it'll be a lot of moving and shaking Thursday, because I think a lot of teams are set to do moves. And, come past draft, we'll see who's out there, But, Bediako is the name I throw out. A big man that the Bulls kind of need some depth there because they've been lacking there for the past couple of years. But other than that, I got to wait and see who doesn't get drafted, and then, okay, this guy will fit, and you just go build out your summer league roster and go from there.
That's fair.
Yeah, that's fair. I kind of agree with him. You got to wait till the draft till you see what's going on with the undrafted. Sometimes a more talented player falls out of the draft because maybe he's too young or something, like Davidson said. But me, I'm more of an elitist. I think this was abnormal what happened with the Miami Heat, with all these undrafted players. I think in basketball, the most talented players win. And it's always been that way. This is an abnormal happening with the Miami Heat. You probably won't never see it again. Has it ever been a team with like more than 4 undrafted players winning a title? I know people like to point to Detroit, but those players came from Kentucky and all these power schools. So you know, I just don't believe in it. I think talent just overall rules basketball. It just rules it.
I just think that I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say I think that this is an important thing to add. Like, yes, the Chicago Bulls, we can look at the undrafted, market, and they should definitely do their due diligence. But the problem with the team right now is that it doesn't seem like anyone as a young player is developing. They told us about Marko Simonovic. We still ain't seen him. We seen Dalen Terry come in and spurts and bits, and we still ain't seen it. Oh. They had an MVP in the G League. It is the G League, don't get me wrong, in Carlick Jones. We didn't see him on the court. We still questioning Patrick Williams. We just now seen Kobe White take a step. We kind of seen Ayo Dosunmu take a step back.
Yep.
So we can go ahead and we would like these guys to go ahead and find some young talent in the undrafted thing and be the great story to come out. But right now, I'm gonna just be honest. I don't have much hope in my Bulls training staff right now.
Can I ask Davidson a question real quick?
Oh, please.
Davidson, you heard what he said. Just comment. Now, do you believe it's more fault of Billy Donovan, or you believe it's the player development staff, or you think it's a combination of both? When it comes to the young talent, like Simonovic just can't get out the G League. He's like MVP every year or something like that. It don't make any sense. Who do you think is the fault? Or is it their fault, the players' fault?
Well, I can't blame the players, because if your player is producing the G League and then, he's getting all his accolades, you got to bring him up and see what he can do. It's a fair point. You got to look at the front office like, okay, this guy is doing well in the G League, and you want him, and that's the purpose of the G League. You want to do well in the G League. So in hindsight, you want to bring these guys up and see what he can bring off the bench. Why, they don't, do that. I couldn't tell you.
Yep.
But, if that's when, Bill Donovan got to be, talk to his scouts, and the scouts got to be talking to Bill Donovan or something like that. Say, hey, or the G League coach, hey, this guy's been doing well. Y'all really hadn't got enough else at Terry. Ayo's been kind of up and down. Was bring him up, see what he can do. If he comes and plays well, hey, doing great. If you don't, keep on the bench or send him back to the G League. But I think, your scouting department, coaches, front office, managing your front office, they the ones got to be, seeing these things and kind of always looking at the roster and see what changes you got to make. As a Laker fan, I give Rob Pelinka a little bit credit. He made the changes that he had to make, and the team made to the Western Conference Finals. The Bulls front office, they got to do the same thing. You got to make the changes to get what you want to go. If this guy's turning up in the G League, bring him up and see what he can do for you.
Yeah, to me, that's a front office / coaching problem, that you've got players that are doing really well in the G League, but it's not even necessarily in the case of some of them that you're just not seeing it produce in the NBA. You're not seeing them in the NBA. And at some point, somebody's got to step up and say, hey, we're struggling as a team. These veterans are blocking these kids. We owe it to ourselves. Maybe we have the solution in-house, but we don't know because we're so obsessed with these vets that we handpicked that aren't working for us. Somebody's got to swallow a really tough pill, that be willing to swallow a really tough pill there in the front office or in the coaching staff and say, yes, we picked this guy. He's not working. We might have a solution here. We owe it to ourselves to see if this is working. And that leads me to something that, Bobby, you brought up earlier. You're bringing up that Bulls fans are being a little impatient. It's been 30 years. You know, we had the last, or it's been 25 years, you know, since the last dance. You know, we all got to celebrate it a couple years ago. God, we needed that in April of 2020. We all needed that to celebrate that. But it's been 25 years since that. There's still just the one statue out there in front of United Center. It's Jordan. We don't have one for Rose. You know, we don't have one for any of those other guys. We don't have. There's not looking like there's going to be one for DeMar or Zach coming up anytime soon. You gotta, at some point, you gotta fix this. This is Chicago. This is a basketball town. It's got to get fixed.
Agreed, 100%. I believe as fans, we should demand the best from the front office. The only reason I'm putting this out there to tell fans to remain patient, it only comes to players, because we seen the Bulls get rid of Larry Marketing. Larry Marketing goes to Utah. Oh, my God. The sky is falling, fans. Why did we give up Larry Marketing? Then we let Jimmy Butler go after it was a dilemma between him and Fred Hoiberg. We let Jimmy Butler go. He goes to 2 finals. Oh, my God. Why did we let Jimmy Butler go? So I'm not saying don't demand the most from the front office, but I'm saying when you have good players within the organization, we need to retain them until we be like, okay, this guy just isn't it. And I don't think that conclusion has been placed on Zach Lavine yet.
Nope.
All right. It all sounds good. All right, guys. Well, unfortunately, the call that we're on is about to end here. So I want to make sure that everybody here gets a chance to get one last quick word. So real quick, Unc, we'll start with you, and then we'll work our way around. Tell everybody where they can find you, follow you on social media, and any last real quick 30-second thoughts on the Bulls.
Hey, man, you can find us on at Cognac Boys on Twitter, Shy Bulls Podcast on YouTube. Nephew will give you the rest of them. But the Bulls, man, we got to have patience, man. Even when it's 25 years, man, you still have to have patience after that. You got to make sure your team is good after that. So patience after that. Go ahead, nephew. Thanks for having me on, Adam. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Bobby, go ahead.
First and foremost, it was good collaborating with you, Adam. It was good meeting you, Davidson.
Thank you, sir.
Shout out to all the fans out there. We just want to do what's best for the team. We all got these great ideas. Let's put them all together. Hopefully they hear us one day in the front office. We don't know. But y'all can find us where Unc said. And also, if you are a Bears fan, Chicago Bears Central. And if you just want to get into broader topics like the NBA, NBA Central.
There you go. Davidson, where can everybody find you real quick? 20 seconds.
Follow the show at Fast Break at IESR. That's Fast Break IESR. Me and Dontaria Slot go live every Sunday, 7 Central, 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific. Catch us on there.
And that unfortunately couldn't quite finish the thought there from Davidson. But again, catch Davidson Crooks at Fast Break, IESR, Sunday nights, 8 o'clock Eastern Time, 7 o'clock here in Central Time. That is going to do it. What a show. Huge, huge, huge shout out and thank you to all 3 of our guests tonight. Davidson Crooks from right here in IE Sports Radio. Bobby and Unc, the Cognac Boys from Shy Bulls Podcast. Catch them on YouTube basically every single day. NBA Central. Be sure to check out their work. They do really, really, really good stuff. Davidson, real quick, hop into the chat. Thank you, sir. Thank you to everybody hanging out in the chat. Larry B, Taryn Rodriguez, Mike Pat, Shane hopping into the chat real quick there. Thank you, gentlemen. Larry B, thank you, sir, for everything you do here at IE Sports Radio, all the behind-the-scenes work, it does not go unnoticed. Thank you to our Patreon supporters, Bay Area Raised, Emlos Great, Key to the Gate, and Anonymous. Thank you for your continued support, not only of this show, but of all the shows here on the station. It is very much appreciated. Finally, thank you to whether you were listening live here on Monday night or you were listening later on in the week as a podcast, YouTube, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, they're all there for you. Thank you for taking time out of your week to have this conversation be part of it. It really is appreciated. Next week, we got NASCAR coming to town. They're going to be racing in the streets. We got to talk about that. We got to figure out what the heck that's going to look like. The Cubs are on a bit of a tear. We got to talk about that. We had a kid for the White Sox come out of nowhere and win a game all by himself. We got some other stuff to talk about. It's going to be right back here next Monday night. You know where to find us. Chi-Town Weekly, 7 o'clock Central for IE Sports Radio. I am Adam Karnick. Thank you so much, everybody. Be safe, be healthy. We will see you next week.